That is such a strange thing to say. Nat's gonna throw an amphora. So, in the modern world, what uses? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, so an amphora. We're doing a Greek urn, and this is hopefully going to be used at my home church, and Suzanne and I do liturgical arts together, which is delightful. So,
how many pounds is that? Yeah.
This is 10 pounds of clay. 10 pounds of clay. So, what I'm going to do today is throw a cylinder, a really tall cylinder, and then I'm going to belly it out. As always, I'm doing the coning up and compressing.
So no matter what the form, you kind of start the same?
Yes. The forces are all a lot different. And the thicknesses are a lot different. So the wall thickness of a piece this size needs, if a piece the size of a mug is a quarter of an inch, these are going to be more like 3/8 of an inch. So just for it to have the structural integrity of a smaller piece. It does. And
this is where you were talking about the arc of your hand.
Yes. I do spend a lot of time compressing the floor of the piece just to help prevent S-cracks.
Will you tell everybody what S-cracks are again?
Yes, an S-crack is what happens when the floor of the piece is not very well addressed, or if it has a lot of water sitting on it for a long period of time. You'll end up with this pretty little S-crack across the bottom, and once you've had one, you'll forever know what they are. It's like, oh, this is an S-crack.
Now, are you talking about down the road, time-wise, after it's finished? Or are you talking about
When
coming out
it's
of the counter?
drying or bisque firing, it can happen either place. Normally, it happens in the drying, and if you look closely, you can probably see it begin to open up. But like a lot of our cracks, they don't really show until you add heat. And it does. There's so many great. Yeah, exactly. Add a little heat, and you'll find out what folks are made of. So, all right. The hard part of raising the wall. And I talked to my classes about this yesterday. Always clay's tendency is to fall out and down. That's what it wants to do. Clay's lazy. So you have to make it do what you want. So clay Well, I can get a much taller cylinder if I keep it tapered in at first and gradually work it towards parallel, okay? So what I'm gonna do here, because an amphora has kind of a beautiful feminine shape, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw...
Like the Grecian urns in the Music Man.
Exactly. Please be a Grecian urn for us. So,
Can you hold that position for a while?
yes, I need to look at that position while I work. And so will you just station yourself right in front of me? This tapered form is going to allow me to go much higher. I'm going to pull a nice tall cylinder and I'm going to belly it out and then flare the lobe. So there should be a good deal of clay left at the bottom for architectural purposes, because anytime you have a big bellied out form, you have to leave some extra clay at the bottom as a buttress to hold up that suspended weight. Can y'all see that as this pot is turning, there's some angled torsional ridges growing in it? It's important that you take care of those early on because they will become problematic later on in a bigger piece. And so you'll notice I'm actually kind of ribbing this pot up and down to help compress those torsional ridges. And again, compression is really the greatest thing that we do for these pieces to make them durable. Compression is what allows those plate particles, which are discs, to lay down on top of each other and form a strata that's really strong. Y'all probably heard me say this through the week too. Compressing the rim is what we call the Dixie cup effect. If you take a little paper Dixie cup with a rolled rim and cut the rim off of it, all of a sudden that cup doesn't have much structural integrity. It's real floppy and loose. Same is true here. If you compress this rim down, it holds the whole pot in round. So it's really an important little move. Water is your friend for sure when you're throwing. You want it to be nice and slippery. Unless you're Adam Field. For some reason he throws the driest of any human I know. He uses almost no water. He's real clean. I think he's even more obsessive compulsive than I am. Adam is this wonderful potter who throws these huge Korean ongi jugs. They're big, beautiful things. And he's not a very big guy, but he can sure make some big, pretty pots. again, I'm throwing down and up.
How thick is your bottom of the base?
The base right now is about a half an inch thick, and I'm going to reduce it by just a little bit. I'll probably carve a very small foot, but that'll be it.
You gotta have a long arm.
You do.
You know, if your arm's not long enough,
You gotta stand up. Put your whole arm in.
I throw on a wheel standing up at
I do
home.
too. I
So,
mean, I did the one time I threw anything
My
long.
wheel is at home is this high, so imagine throwing this piece.
Uh-huh.
So I have to actually get on a stool and stand up to
Don't,
throw
don't
it.
fall in.
Yeah, throwing it on a stand-up wheel is so much easier on your back.
So much easier.
I mean, if you've got any kind of back issue. or
It
shoulder
absolutely
issues,
is.
It's so much easier.
It really is.
We need to get one here.
As soon as somebody gives the money.
Uh-huh. I'll give us the wheel.
Well, there is the original wheel that used to be under the barn is downstairs, the blue wheel. And it was a treadle wheel. And you kind of leaned into this leather belt and leaned on and through. It was made in Arden, North Carolina, near the airport. And a guy came and he thinks his great uncle made it in the 19th century. It's really wow.
Wow.
From Brown's Quarter. Went to Brown's Quarter. But it's been at one point somebody put a washing machine motor on it, so we need to take that off and do surgery on it and get it back to, because it was a treadle wheel.
I had a part of our family in Seagrove, the Carters, were potters, and they threw on a wheel that was a Model A Ford engine and transmission. You had 3 different speeds, so it's 1 speed for centering, 1 speed for throwing, 1 speed for finishing. So I thought
Finishing speed, the lights and the radio came on.
that's right. And don't go across railroad tracks.
Not where you're in the bottom.
Wow.
Really big mug.
I would have just thrown it all over this porch.
So, are you doing this for a reason, pulling the rib down?
Yes, I'm trying to get those torsional ridges out of it. You probably can't see them anymore, but inside I can really feel them, and so I need to address both the inside and outside.
If I got that far, I just have to stop right here. And don't mess it up. I just can keep going and mess it up.
That's when you stop.
underneath the green, other green one.
Mhm.
There you go.
Now, you guys can't really see this, but I've left a good, healthy chunk of clay in the bottom of probably the bottom 6 inches of this pot has about that much clay all the way down through that foot. So a lot of that will be reduced eventually, but it needs it structurally to stand right now. If you take that away, that whole thing would fall. It would just collapse. So, knowing what clay will allow you to do is the biggest learning curve that you encounter with the clay. When to do various things to it, when it can be handled, when it can be trimmed, all those things. Knowing the right time to touch the clay is key.
It's like people.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
And a whole lot of patience.
Mm-hmm.
So then, how do you get the curves just right?
Okay, so I'm actually using the rib in a real sense to help establish those curves. And I can tell my...
He needs you to do that pose like
Yeah, I do. Come on, girl.
It would help him. He sort of lost memory, you know.
I want to see what I have with this rim. But the rib actually has these beautiful built-in curves. So ribs, you do know, are the earliest potters, the reason they call them ribs is because they were actual animal ribs. They used cow bones, oftentimes the rib bones of a cow, because you could reach down inside the pot and make that nice curve with them. So it's nothing new, but it's got this beautiful shape to it. So, and you can see it's tapered on one side more than the other. So you can establish, and really by the direction that you hold the rib in, if you think of it more like what's the word I'm thinking of? A spatula. It really should lay down and really rest against the clay. Suzanne, are you out here?
I'm here.
Okay. What do you think of this shape?
I'm liking it. It's probably a little thick on the bottom, so that's probably intentional on
Yeah.
that part.
And it is, we're gonna reduce that bottom a lot. So it's
But the
going,
shape of the
it'll-
front part of it is very pretty.
okay, good, good. So
Use it in the trimming process, or use it in the throwing process?
in the trimming process, I'm going to, that bottom is gonna come in and I'm gonna leave a flared foot on it so that it kind of mimics this up here.
Oh, right.
And then there'll be handles that come down from the
And
front.
one of the things I like to do is in museums, I really like the Roman and Greek sections. Those sections are never crowded. But I'm interested in handles and where the handles attach, how they become a part of the pot. It's really interesting to think about, because it's also, you're thinking of the weight. because
Yeah.
This is holding such
Well,
weight.
Suzanne and I were just looking at some of those and talking, and the handles just, I mean, some of them are real heavy duty, just,
Square on
but, I mean, if you think about it, some of those amphoras are this large, say they're 10 gallons. That's 80 pounds of fluid. And so, put two people on that, on either side, walking with a handle in their hand. So, I think that's probably
You know, in the early church, they
out of
used
necessity.
these giant, and I forget the name. It was this shape with handles, and they would mix the water and the water.
Yes.
It was one.
Yeah.
Did y'all know that was one?
Yeah, those are amphoras.
This is a type of Amphora. And some of them were just with taper on the bottom and they sat on a stand.
Right.
Or in a cradle of some
Yeah,
sort.
you do see Roman ones that have
Yeah.
been found in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when you look at some of the early Christian art, you see these giant.
Yeah. This size, yeah, like the water ones, yeah, were really big.
So Nat, then how long will that dry before you trim it?
I'm hoping that this will be dry enough tomorrow to trim. And I think if we get it out here in the sun a little bit, it should be dry enough to trim tomorrow. But that's basically what I'm going to do with this one. And you guys can take a peek down inside and see how much narrower it is. So that bottom, like I say, from about here, goes from about that wide down to about like that at the bottom. So it really has a lot more structural integrity thanks to that little act of just leaving clay down there. When you're first learning to throw and throw big, that's one of the classic mistakes that potters make, is not leaving enough architectural clay to support what's happening. And I didn't understand, you know, I would hear the upper division students talking about, you know, architecture of pottery. And I'm like, architecture, that doesn't fit. What are you talking about? But later on, when you make a few mistakes, and I mean, yeah, I used to throw, we call them bloop pots, because that looks like the noise they would make. They're just these big, pretty round pots. But I would throw them, stretch them as far as the clay would go, and set them out to dry. And then I come back the next day and they just collapse because they couldn't hold themselves.
So
Absolutely.
architecturally, once the pot has dried and set up,
Then you
does it
can,
no longer need
it
the?
no longer needs it. So the clay can support itself once it gets a little firm integrity.
Sit inside with the flashlight.
Sure.
Wow.
Yes.
You know how straight down it is on the sides inside?